Okay, welcome everyone to the Town of Lewisboro, June 24th, 2024 Town Board meeting. For those in the room, there's an exit towards the front of the building and an exit to the rear of the building. Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item is the public hearing on the proposed amendments to the comprehensive master plan. But before we open that up, I just wanted to share that we received from the Westchester County Department of Planning comments today, which will be made available in the comp plan online document package, and which we will review before taking final action on the comp plan. But with that said, we'll open up the public hearing. So I have to motion to open up the public hearing. Do I have a second? I'll motion to open up the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
We just, we just got in short order as far as, giving the public, and I know it's several pages long, so to give the public an opportunity to have, digest it and everything, so.
You mean the comments from county?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a 2-page document. It'll be posted.
What I'm saying is the
Yeah.
public doesn't have an opportunity to review it before commenting on something.
Right, which is why we're opening the public hearing, but we're going to keep it open. I think I said that. Yeah, it came in today.
No, I know that's my point.
Right.
My point is that,
Okay,
yeah, it's just.
right. Okay, anyone here? Oh, we didn't vote it. That was discussion. All in favor? Aye. Anyone here have a comment regarding or would like to speak regarding the comprehensive master plan? Okay, how about on Zoom? Janet?
Just joining, but there is a Tom. Tom, I'm asking you to unmute, but if you could give us your full name and hamlet.
Hi, thank you. My full name is Tom Hiltonen, and can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for this opportunity. My wife and I bought a house in Goldens Bridge late last year, so I'm pretty new to this process, but I do have 3 specific points I'd like to make about the plan. And they all have to do with pedestrian and I guess bicycle too, safety in Goldens Bridge. Number 1, and it's kind of in descending order, 1, 2, and 3. I'll be quick. Descending order of importance. Number 1, there really needs to be a crosswalk at the corner of Route 138 and North Street. And having walked through this intersection numerous times in the last 7 or 8 months, cars come up North Street towards 138, and of course they want to make a right turn on red, and they can't see what's coming from the west on 138. So they do this kind of creep through the intersection to get a better view. And I can tell you right now, nobody looks to the right. So if I or some pedestrian is trying to cross, they just don't even look, and they come right into where a crosswalk would be. So I strongly encourage you to consider putting a signalized crosswalk in there, maybe the kind with the button you can push, where if there is a pedestrian, you can push the button. And if there isn't a pedestrian, nothing happens. I feel like it's very dangerous. It would also be good to daylight that intersection a little bit. So, because I drive, and whenever I get to that intersection, I want to make a right turn on red. I'm like nosing out into 138 before I can see if there's a car coming, especially in the daytime. So that's number 1. Number 2 has to do with the walkway, the sidewalk over 684, the bridge. And that sidewalk ends, as you may know, where the steps going down to the Metro North parking lot begin. They don't go past that. But those of us who live in Goldens Bridge, and we're taking the train, if we're not parked in the parking lot, we don't want to go down those stairs. We want to continue walking. And what happens is you come across this sort of impassable, it could be a sidewalk. I mean, there's a fence and there's plenty of room and it's got concrete, but it's overgrown with weeds and God knows what. It's impassable. So you have to climb over the fence. And I got to tell you, I'm 62, so it's getting a little hard to climb over fences. You know, when I was 17, 18, I enjoyed doing that. But you got to climb over that guardrail, I guess it is, and then walk the rest of the way in the margin, in the shoulder of the road, which is a little scary because you know it's a highway. So it would be, you know, it would be fantastic if that could possibly be opened up for pedestrians to get all the way to North Street on a protected walkway.
Thank you, Tom. There's a 3-minute limit on
Oh,
comments.
sorry about that. Okay, well, that was mainly it. The last one was just continuing the sidewalk to Pond Street.
Right, but I can talk to you about that. So there's been some work done in that area, but we'll if you want to reach out to me, call me.
Great, thank you. Sorry to go so long.
It's okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep.
Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I just want to quickly mention a couple of items and just verify that this public hearing will be carried over, I'm assuming, to the next town board meeting. Is that what you said, Tony?
Yes, it'll be carried over.
Okay. So in reviewing the master plan, which I probably read 3 or 4 times now, many sections of it are in direct opposition to other sections. So for the average person reading it, I will give you just a couple of examples. The overriding theme that is put forward at the beginning of the plan and woven throughout the rest of the text is that we should be maintaining the rural character of Lewisboro, which was one of the things that most of the residents put on their sticky notes or whatever when the public was asked for their opinion. Yet at the same time, in other sections of the master plan, you have this push for more development, especially around the town centers. So those two are kind of in direct opposition to each other to maintain the rural character, and then at the same time develop these small hamlet centers, which some of them have already been decimated by, I know on our side, 684 and other things. Another overriding theme was protecting our natural resources, in specific our lakes, our waterways. Again, another area of the master plan talks about cluster housing, again, in the hamlet centers, in areas that are already pretty densely populated. So that again, there's direct opposition there in the master plan. I guess one more, there was a recommendation to institute some kind of dark skies legislation to protect the environment against overlighting, especially in the evening. And then yet at the same time, you have hamlet centers. And again, I can only go by what I have over here, where private developers are allowing fast chargers to be installed, which have extremely high voltage and bright charging stations. So we have a master plan. It's guided by principles that the town residents put forward. It's very clear what the majority of people wanted. If you read it several times, what the main points were. However, there's also sections when it gets more involved where they also want to include things that go directly against these subsections. Okay, I will read whatever else you put out there and probably have more questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara. The t-shirts on there.
Unions.
Kathy Deutsch, I'm asking you to unmute.
Thank you. In light of the community's distress and the board's concern over the use or misuse of social media by council members.
Kathy, this is a public hearing for the comprehensive master
I'm
plan.
sorry, I thought it went to public comment. I will wait. My apologies.
Okay, thank you. Letitia Stapleton, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I don't even know if this is appropriate or not. I just wanted to thank you for the Pride
Yeah,
event.
Letitia, it's a public hearing for the comprehensive master plan only.
Okay, thanks.
Want to ask one more time if there's.
Yeah, if there is anyone else on Zoom or here who would like to
For the
speak
pub,
for the
for the public
comprehensive
hearing
plan.
on the comprehensive plan.
Okay, you're set.
Okay, thank you. So before public comment, what I'd like to jump ahead to communications. We have
We
oh,
have to close.
we have to make a motion to keep it open. Okay,
If you have a date that you have in mind, but July, July, I'm not sure what it is.
yeah,
I think
July
it's
22nd.
July
Yes.
22nd.
July 22nd. Okay, motion to maintain the public hearing open until July 22nd.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
No,
Yeah.
if she motions, I second.
Okay. Okay, second. Discussion?
We
All in
just
favor?
put the county planning board document somewhere.
It's gonna go online,
It's gonna be
like I
posted.
said earlier, yeah.
Confirming, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Just so everybody, it's a 4-page June 24th, 2024 document, so just dated today. so-
Right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so next, thank you very much, Valerie. Next we have, I'm gonna jump to the proclamation for Lois Reynolds. So I'll read this out loud here. This is a resolution adopted, and Maureen Cole is here.
Here. I don't know where the wonderful TV cameras are. but-
It's right there, but they'll see you on Zoom.
Well, of course, they have to see me. They
Right.
see me all the
I'll
time.
just,
Maureen,
You
you
have to
have
go-
to use the mic so they can hear you at home.
Yeah,
Tony's gonna read the proclamation.
would you like to read it?
I wanted to say a little bit
Okay.
about Lois and it
That's fine, yeah.
leads to you reading the proclamation.
Okay, that works.
Otherwise, my cards don't work.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay, I'm the town historian for the town of Lewisboro, and I'd like to call attention to a wonderful, spirited, and community-minded woman who is the last surviving member of one of the founding families of Lewisboro, the Reynolds family of Cross River. She was born, I'm sure you've all been to Cross River, you've seen a huge Dutch colonial house that sits across from the meadows. That's the Reynolds homestead, and that is where Lois was born in the front room. She was born 105 years ago in May of 1919. As I said, one of the members, the last surviving members of the Reynolds family, one of the founding members of our town. She spent most of her long life in Cross River, except for the 40 years she spent working for the New York Central Railroad up in Buffalo. But as soon as she could come back, she did, and so she lived here the majority of those years. She and her sister Joyce, who predeceased her, who has passed away, have been my go-to gals for any sort of history I wanted to know about Cross River. And I think that the town board proclamation that Tony will be reading will explain why I think it's time to give Lois a little public attention. And I think it's a good time that we, the citizens of Lewisboro, express our support and honor for this 105-year-old woman who is still alive and full of spirit in Cross River. God bless her. And I did bring a picture of her. So I don't know how that would get on television, but anyway, this is her 90th birthday. We have ones from her 100th and her 101st, but this is Lois's 90th birthday. So.
Maureen, you have electronic records of those photographs?
I have a lot of photographs.
Okay, so maybe if you email us,
Sure.
then we can share it on the
Sure.
website.
Okay. I can do that.
Thank you very much, Maureen, for that. Okay, so let me go ahead and read the resolution. This is a resolution adopted by the town board of the town of Lewisboro at a meeting held on June 24th, 2024. Whereas Lois Elizabeth Reynolds, born in the Reynolds family homestead in Cross River in 1919, celebrated her 105th birthday on Friday, May 31st, 2024. And whereas Lois Reynolds' ancestors were among the early settlers of Cross River and played a major role in the history of Cross River, served in the Revolutionary War, and were important farmers and businessmen. And whereas Lois Reynolds' forebears were founding members of the Cross River Baptist Church in 1789. And whereas Lois Reynolds served as president of the Lewisboro Senior Adults and was elected into the class of 1993 of the Westchester County Senior Citizens Hall of Fame. And whereas Lois Reynolds was always ready to accept a challenge to assist her fellow citizens, lead a Girl Scout group, serve as president of the Railroad Women's Business Association, and serve as a treasurer of the Cross River Baptist Church. And whereas Lois Reynolds continues to be a keeper of the history of Lewisboro in the 20th and 21st centuries, whose motto is, "Don't stop, just do it," and keep active in your church. And now therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lewisboro hereby honor and commends Lois Reynolds for her contributions to the town of Lewisboro throughout her life. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this June 24th, 2024 town board meeting for future generations to see, and that a copy be presented to Lois Reynolds, dated South Salem, New York, on this 24th day of June 2024. So thank you very much, Lois. And Maureen, I have the plaque, which is right here, if you would like to
Yeah.
take it. And this is, I'll just display it real quick. But it's a framed resolution.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It'll be a surprise.
Okay, great. Thanks.
You mean she's not watching now?
Is she
You mean
watching?
she's not watching now?
No, her niece was going to be there, but her niece had other problems.
Okay,
So family problems.
right.
She's going to make sure that we watch it on TV.
Great.
Okay,
So you tried to explain Zoom to me and I figured unless I could get my IT daughter down there,
Ah.
we wouldn't get it. So people watching afterward.
great. Thank you, Maureen. Okay, now, yeah, I guess we have to motion to adopt the resolution. Yes, all right. Motion to adopt the resolution for Lois Reynolds.
Is it a resolution or
It's
proclamation?
a resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Uh,
Okay. Thanks for that. Okay, so next we'll go into public comment number 1. So anyone here would like to say something? Okay, how about on Zoom?
Yes. Kathy Deutsch, I'm asking you to unmute.
Thank you. In light of the community's distress and the board's concern over the use or misuse of social media by council members, I share the following. This is from SCOTUS blog. It is an impartial, independent, online Supreme Court reporting platform run by law professors at Harvard and Stanford and others from distinguished universities and law firms. They state the following. The court's decisions came in a pair of cases involving local officials in California and Michigan who blocked constituents who made repetitive and critical comments on their personal social media accounts. The Court of Appeals reasoned that there was a close nexus between the trustees' use of their social media pages and their official positions. In a unanimous decision, the justices acknowledged that the question before the court was a difficult one, especially in a case involving a state or local official who routinely interacts with the public. Barrett cautioned, deleting comments allows an official to target only personal posts. Blocking someone from a social media page that contains both personal and official posts could also prevent someone from commenting on official posts. A public official who fails to keep personal posts in a clearly designated personal account therefore exposes himself or herself to greater potential liability. I brought this article up to Tony and I shared it with him via text, and he directed me to the Pound Ridge page, which he noted has no open comments. The difference between the Pound Ridge page is that it is noted as the official page of the town of Pound Ridge and a government organization, and no officials' names are listed. Only town-related information is posted. The following officials: Kevin Hansen, supervisor, has a personal page which does not mention his official position, and he does not have comments. Allison Boak lists her position, but only lists local politics, and her comments are open. Diane Briggs does not list her position, and she has no town business in it, only personal comments, and her comments are open. Dan Patchkis, I believe, I could not find a Facebook page. Namasha Schelling does not list her official position. It is a personal page. Her comments are closed, and she does not list town business. Unlike the posts of Dan Welsh, who mixes world politics with local postings, blocking comments at whim. As the board has requested on numerous occasions, we again ask that social media guidance be instituted in the employee handbook. And that is all I have to say, and I hope that this is taken into account as the employee handbook is amended, and that we could finally put this this divide between what is social media personal and what is social media official, and be done with this. Again,
Thank you, Kathy.
Please separate his pages. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Janet?
Yes. Daniela, if you could state your last name, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, Daniela Goldman, Vista Hamlet. I am once again speaking up against Dan Welsh. Dan has violated New York State general municipal law for years, all while defrauding the community. This town has allowed him for years to profit off the backs of hardworking citizens. The community deserves straightforward answers. What is the town doing to rectify this illegal activity? As of now, this town has no idea what you're doing. Another issue that has been brought up for months is Dan's anti-Semitic remarks made on his social media account and at town board meetings. Tony, you have allowed him to hide behind the statement that this is his First Amendment right to speak, but to speak in such a manner. But is it? I'm assuming at your request, Dan turned off / deleted comments that he did not agree with on his Facebook page, thus only allowing his misinformation to be heard. Misinformation only spreads hate, leading to more harm. His public Facebook account lists himself as a town board member, which means he is speaking on behalf of the town. The issue of public officials blocking comments on social media platform was directly addressed by the U.S. Supreme Court in the case of Knight First Amendment Institute versus Trump in 2019. The court held that when public officials use social media accounts for government purposes, they cannot discriminate against viewpoints in deciding who can engage with their posts. Blocking individuals based on their viewpoints was deemed unconstitutional discrimination. The Supreme Court indirectly affirmed the principle that public officials using social media for official purposes must uphold First Amendment rights, including the rights of individuals to participate in discussions without being blocked based upon their viewpoints. Many people have asked you for social media guidelines to be added to the Lewisboro handbook, requiring either a town board member to have a public and a private account, yet nothing has happened. The people of this community deserves to know what is going on behind closed doors. The people of this community are tired of this and would like resolution immediately. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Daniela. Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
Okay, hi. I just wanted to bring up I have a couple of questions. I see in the discussion section, old business, you're going to be talking a little bit more about the tree ordinance. And I still have two concerns about it as a resident. and the first one doesn't really pertain to me because I only have an acre and a half. But one of the things that I have requested or suggested or even asked about since the ordinance was discussed is why do we not have a sliding scale for residents based on the amount of property they own? Like some neighboring towns. I know Somers does, for example. There's a couple of others. I don't have my old notes in front of me. I just think it's very stringent to say you can only cut down 3 trees on your property, except if there's certain other considerations such as dying trees, leaning trees, etc. For somebody who may own 10 or 15 acres of property. This has come up at the Conservation Advisory Council meeting. I asked John Wolf once many months ago, and he actually has brought it up himself when they talk about the tree ordinance, that he was more than willing to put something like that into the new ordinance. But that you, Tony, or he said the board, but I think he also said you, told him, no, you want it as it was. So I really think that's something that should be reconsidered for people who do own a lot of property. The other thing I just wanted to talk about was a permit for cutting down trees. I know that you only need the permit for certain circumstances. A couple of those circumstances should really be under the heading of fines rather than a permit. Like if somebody cuts a tree down in a wetland, to me, that's more of a fine than needing a permit to do that. I think we're just a very highly taxed county, and it's also very expensive to hire the correct people to take trees down. So kind of being nitpicking and adding a permit onto that, to me, is just a little bit of overkill. So I really think those are 2 areas that you should discuss when you discuss the tree ordinance. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Barbara. Letitia Stapleton, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening, all. I just wanted to thank you all that participated, all that came for Juneteenth and Pride. It was such a success. And I'm so grateful that we are able to come together and show support for one another. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Letitia. Dean Travelino, I'm asking you to unmute.
Okay, you got me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Great. I just wanted to comment. I noticed this morning when I was checking that the tree ordinance is back on for a discussion. I sent the board a detailed summary of my thoughts on the law. I think I saw a few minor changes, but most of my concerns I see are still there. If you haven't looked at it carefully again, if you'd like me to resend, I would. But just a few highlights that I see. It's funny that Barbara just mentioned one of them, which is the most glaring. I think to be enforceable and to be legally enforceable and also practically enforceable, the law's got to be a common sense law, easy to understand. And the definition of clear cutting, which basically is no trees, in the definition is confusing at least. When you combine it with the statement that you can cut certain trees under section, I think it was 4B, it goes back to you can only cut down 3 trees a year, no matter what size your property is. That's arbitrary. It's the kind of thing that will be challenged, besides being hard to understand. And to answer Barbara's question, every town has something different. The North Salem, Pound Ridge, Somers, they all have a sliding scale depending on the size of the property. And our own wetlands law expresses it as a percentage of trees on the property. Why this can't be changed, it's beyond me, and I think it's a disservice even to the people who want this ordinance. As far as the definition of agricultural activity that's exempt, I think this definition that is in there now, which is an active farm, and it says except for dude ranches, it's antiquated. It doesn't make much sense. And it really is against what our new master plan says about promoting backyard farms and backyard agriculture. They just turn you back to the definition that North Salem uses that recognizes backyard are agricultural and backyard boarding of horses and riding horses essential to our nature. And then, so I have that, I can send it back to you, but the North Salem exemption, it makes much more sense for our town and the master plan. And finally, most egregiously, this gives total control to the building inspector for any trees that are cut down incidental to a building such as a barn or a pool house or something else. Under our old ordinance, which is common in most of the towns, you can cut down trees that are incidental to your permit and what you are doing. Again, that goes to a pool or to a barn or something like that. In the new ordinance, it is limited by the discretion of the building inspector for any that tree that he or she deems essential, a completely different standard and one that's unchecked, since we are also the only town that does not have the planning board, or in Bedford, they have, as recommended by the DEC, they have a tree board. We're the
Thank
only
you,
town
Dan.
that use that kind of unfettered power in one individual. You're welcome.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, thanks, Dean. Kevin Uretsky, I'm asking you to unmute.
Thank you, Janet. Good evening, everyone. Just a quick request. The reeds, or whatever you want to call them, that grow out of the reservoir or mini lake or wasteland, or whatever you want to describe it as at the corner of Fairmount and 138, those have become so overgrown that you have to start, especially if you want to see the traffic that's coming to your left on 138 headed towards 684, you have to creep out into the intersection to see around the reeds. And it's starting to become dangerous. So I just want to request, suggest, and plead and beg that we get a road crew or lands department or whoever's responsible for it to get out there as soon as possible and cut them down, because it's a matter of public safety. It's starting to get dangerous. That's it. Thank you.
I think that the DOT.
Thank you, Kevin.
DOT did something on that recently. They cut it back a little
If
bit.
it's on 138, it's,
Yeah.
you're right away.
Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening. Keeping this relatively short. In my opinion, Councilman Welsh has placed our town in jeopardy over and over. I'd like to know what the outcome was of the vote that supported not having residents opt out of Sustainable Westchester, and all those threatening texts and emails that came through. What exactly is going on with the ethics complaint that was filed to review on Councilman Welsh and these issues? And I really want to know, because this happened with a councilwoman on 2 boards ago, what will be done with Councilman Welsh not allowing people to comment while using his title as Councilman Welsh on his Facebook page? And I know, Tony, you said people should spend less time on social media. That's not the right answer. The right answer is you have to lead. And I don't see any leading being done with any of these issues affecting one council member. I think it sends a terrible message. I've had people actually come up to me who are frightened of being attacked with all the rise in hatred and the anti-Semitism. And I really think that Dan has caused a lot of that just in our little town. So I'm asking for answers. When I write to the board, and I've stopped doing that, I never get responses. So I reach out to individual members. I would really like to know what's being done, if anything, and if nothing's being done, why. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Simone. And that's it.
Thanks, Janet. Okay, so with that, we will jump to the consent agenda for approval of minutes of June 10th, 2024.
So
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. All right, so let's jump to the old business tree ordinance. So just to summarize, this is back on here because originally the CSC came to us with 4 recommended changes. One was to make the ordinance consistent with Westchester County on licensing. The second, to tighten up the language to prevent clear cutting. The third was correction of an error for special character. And the fourth was an additional remedy / penalty, which relates to tree replacement schedule, replaces the discretionary component of permit issuance rather than in penalties for offenses. So there were some follow-up discussions. Yeah, and Dean mentioned, we did see your feedback, Dean. We did, it's under consideration. So, but what we're gonna do is, because these 4 items were the only 4 items that were being requested to be amended in the current code. What we agreed to do is, after our last discussion here with the town board and the prior town board meeting, there was a lot of discussion around the schedule and how we came up with that schedule for tree replacement. So we're gonna exclude that for now. And the consideration will be given to the first 3 items, which again is the Westchester County licensing piece, the brief edit to the language to sign up the current clear cutting language, and a correction of an error for special character. I did have a conversation with John Wolf about considering some of the other feedback that we've received and having a session where we can further discuss and improve on some of the concerns that folks have with the current tree ordinance in terms of acreage, size of parcels, et cetera.
yeah, I have no problem. I think we kind of had consensus with those first 3. So if we just, I think by and large, I'm going from memory, but maybe we can just identify those specific subsections, maybe tie that into a motion and table the 4th one, which we were talking about the penalty.
And yeah, and what we did was in the packet, I mean, I have the red line that went back and forth, but in the agenda packet is that last version with the deletion of that penalty section and the schedule for tree replacement. And so basically it's exactly that, Rich. It's taking the first 3 items and moving forward with the local law for those 3. And then what we can do is have a more in-depth discussion. And I think John recommended creating a work group where we can have some folks. And John, if you want to come up and add to this discussion. But I think
I'm confused. Are we gonna have a work session? Is that what you're saying?
Or group, worker group. If you look at the
Like a
other 2 towns, Rye and Greenberg, what they've done for penalty makes more sense. What they want to do is, instead of having fines, they really build around the place. So from a tree point of view, I think that makes a lot more sense to the fine. And they have a fairly significant approach of how that would work. So the violator would replace the trees, post the fines, and then and they have a schedule of those 2 towns.
It's a similar policy like with the town with the planning board with wetlands violations. The idea is to try and
exactly.
remediate as opposed to.
Right, which gets us, what we really want to do with trees, money doesn't replace trees, so. And with the sliding scale, we can look at that. But those 2 towns seem to have a pretty good ordinance, and we should look at that one.
And for the people at home, again, those 2 towns are Rye
Rye
and
and Greenberg. And Greenberg was recommended by the Westchester.
yeah, the county executive's office.
County
Yeah.
executive is sort of the model. Now, having said that, both of those towns have resources we don't have. They both have foresters. We're not gonna have a forester. But I think we can work around that and get something in place that makes more sense than what we have. The history of this tree ordinance is it's probably more than 10 years old. It's been tabled twice. And then Peter gave us less than 2 months to put it together. The year we passed it.
Which was 2019, I believe, 18 or 19, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
everything was.
So it was on the board.
yeah, it was. You can pass it until after.
You know,
Like it,
in terms of the sliding scale, we actually brought that up to the board. They wanted to, and it wasn't, by the way, it wasn't Tony, it was the whole board.
Yeah, and just to, I think there was a statement made that I didn't want to make a change to the ordinance, that's incorrect, so.
Right,
that's-
that, we
that-
brought it
I
up
made
to
that
the
statement.
entire board and they wanted to leave it at 3, so, but I think it's worth a look, given what we've heard in the master plan and feedback, because I got feedback in the CAC meeting. And, you know, we brought it forward, but
So do a sliding scale both as far as replacement and as far as the amount of land that the property owner has.
if you look at the other towns, they have replacement policies, even when if you cut down a bunch of trees that could damage your house, they have a replacement policy even for that, so. I know there's one ongoing in the town now where they want to cut down 25 or 26 trees. Some of the town ordinances say, if you do that, you have to replace them in a certain way. So,
And that's actually been resolved, that particular case,
right, but there'll be others, but
Yeah.
you know, the whole.
to the agreement of
The whole thing the CAC would like to see is trees preserved and replaced, not just, we don't care about the money, we don't get any of it.
Right. So. right.
What's the time frame for this working subcommittee group?
We can, you know, maybe 2 months, we can set something together, we can figure out who needs to be as part of this work group. And put it together and together with the CAC. and
So we
have a
determine who's
discussion.
gonna be on. the
Correct.
board. So just, I'm throwing it out there, but I think that we should inquire as to whether there's any residents who are landscapers or in that field. So that we can hear from them what they encounter on a day-to-day basis when they're out on people's properties, depending on the size, the acreage, the difficulties they run into. And what their experience is in dealing with tree ordinances and other towns, what the good things have been and what the difficult things have been, just to get a good perspective. Well, it'd also be good to hear from people who are paying attention and giving input. Yes. I'd like to ask Dean if he'd be interested in serving on the subcommittee.
Or even if John is kind of, moderating it as it were, or it's an open opportunity for anybody, we make put public notice, and anybody who wants to, chime in by way of input should be able to.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, but in terms of the work group, you want to limit, you don't want to have too many.
No,
people.
I think what Rich is saying.
But in
is
terms
that
of input,
everybody
public input,
giving-
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, my own position, I think with the work group should be town board and maybe the CAC members, but we'd like to hear from everybody else.
Right.
Sort of like a mini master plan for trees.
Sure, yeah. And we have already received some fairly good amount of input. I mean, Dean sent pretty detailed input that we reviewed, and so we can, when we establish this work group, we can go over that and figure out what the next revision to.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kevin should be involved because this is taking up an inordinate amount of his time.
And he's got some good feedback. He's
does.
gone through a lot of scenarios where this is coming from.
I don't even know what percent he's catching. It's probably not a high percent, just
Mhm.
based on what I hear buzzing around where I live, so.
Yeah. So I think for now, what I'd like to do is pursue this, the change for the first 3 items. And draft a local law and have a public hearing. In that order, right, Greg?
Yeah, you would have to set a public hearing on the version that you're contemplating now
Right.
with the items removed, so
Right.
you can certainly set that for whatever your proposed date is tonight. It's not a big lift to get it in final form, so.
And I would say by the number 2 had some concerns, but if I looked at those 2 towns, there's exactly the same.
can I see? Is that your email?
Well, that was back in November. But that included, this was your input with John's feedback. And so what we've done is,
So this was mine?
yeah, and it's in here also.
It's been a
In the
little
red
while
line, I know.
since I've seen it.
But this is what we're eliminating this part completely.
We're moving the schedule.
Yeah, I would make a motion to set a public hearing on those 3 amendments to the initial statute.
We don't have a final draft
We,
of the whole local law. The whole local law is, we're putting together some sort of committee to look at this.
No, the committee's not for this. This
Committee is
week,
for
the committee is for
round two.
after, it's for round two.
So there's gonna be two versions.
This is to satisfy the request we received from the CAC. We're not going back right now and reinventing the code.
Mhm.
We're just addressing the 4 points that the CAC presented to us. One of which is dropping out and including the 3, which we pretty much had agreement on the last discussion, at the last time we discussed it.
So the scope of the continued work is on the remediation.
It's on the bigger scope of-
penalty aspect. of it,
Correct.
Yeah.
So, for clarity's sake, this is step one. The first 3 points are what the CAC has recommended to adjust the tree ordinance.
Right,
We're
which
saying,
we discussed.
excuse me, we're saying no thank you to the schedule because it's not gonna work the way it's set up.
And the penalty.
And the penalty clause. So we'll say yes to the part with the special district. And the other 2 items, but not the schedule and replacement.
I
Have a
So-
public hearing.
Mhm.
And then vote on it. And then after that, we'll tweak it a little bit more.
So we're gonna amend it,
And then amend it again.
and so we're gonna send it up to Albany twice.
Correct.
That's ridiculous. Just do it all at once. Do it all at once.
I mean,
Get
this
it,
has
get it
been,
all, it doesn't matter. Get it all fixed and tweaked or whatever you wanna call it and send it up to Albany
right,
once.
but it took us a year to get to this point.
But it doesn't
And these
sound
are
like-
3 points that the CAC are requesting to have implemented.
You know, you've said that
So
several
why,
times.
why
You've
do
said
we
this-
want to wait potentially
Because
another
you
year?
should just do it all at once. It just makes sense to do it all at once. We don't have that much further to go.
You just mentioned only the 2-month window for the other part, right?
To get something, that's my opinion. That's
Okay,
whether
so
we can
then,
do
so
that, yeah.
then, so.
But then it's
Blend
gonna
what
take
you
time
both
to-
said, so
And then
you're
you're
saying
into
do it
your-
once and then talking about a time frame anticipated 60 days,
Then you
so.
notice it and you have to pay for the publication, then it's a lot of work to send it up there twice. Get it done.
Codified twice in the town.
Right.
It's, do it all at once. That's my position.
Yeah, I just, I know we've been dragging this for quite some time, so at the least, in my opinion, we get these items which have been requested from us. And get those done and out of the way. I mean, John, how critical, I mean, I know there's some criticality from the CAC's perspective.
Well, the first one is just reiterating what's in Westchester County law, so that one's simple enough. And by the way, that protects the homeowner, because if you have an unlicensed tree cutter and something happens, homeowner's the one that has the problem.
And that's the law anyway.
That's the Westchester County.
County law, but it's separate.
Second one, it does have an impact, because we have an example of somebody just clear cut their property. With, using a logger, and it's, you've seen the picture, it's just. And it's still clear cut and it caused runoff problems and other ones, so I think that one. It's waited a year, I don't think it should keep going, and the third one is just a mistake, which says, I happen to live in a special character district, and according to the current law, I gotta retrieve my property down, I don't need a permit from anything. Because it exempts instead of codifies. So I think these things are easy enough to do. The other one might be controversial, it might take a while, because there's a lot of discussion on it.
What do you think a reasonable time frame is to come back with something substantive on the
The other-
4th point?
Well, given this simple ones took a year. 2 months is gonna, I think that's gonna be pushing it summer. And there's a lot of interested parties that have different varying opinions, so. I think it's gonna take a while. The sliding scale is not that simple. You've got we can look at other towns, but example, if I have 30 acres and I can cut 3 per acre, I could cut them all on one property and have a clear cut, so. You've got to be careful about those things.
What hasn't been discussed, the flip side argument as far as the sliding scale for the size of the property. The concept of density, tree density in a particular parcel is irrelevant. So if you can have
That's what he just said.
yeah,
Yeah.
In
Well,
a different way.
oh,
And a lot of the other towns have, have replacement as part of cutting, so, you might cut one area, but they want you to even it out in replacement, so they have scales.
right.
So I don't know that these other ones are a little more complicated, I think these 3 are pretty straightforward. At least that's our opinion.
So I'd be in favor of moving ahead with these three items. And so I think I'd like to go ahead and motion to approve these three.
What's just, I think it was a motion to set a public hearing, Council Square. And then one second. We have a date.
Yeah, we don't have a date. I mean, we could set a date, but to Andrew's point, we need the local laws, right? So we need to take the version that's attached to this agenda packet and use that for the local law. Okay,
July 22nd.
that works. That'll mean two public hearings, so we have a comprehensive plan, potentially. That's fine.
What about
Yeah.
the
The first meeting in August. I mean, I'm fine doing it on the 22nd. I mean, there's not much to it. We have the local law. Just a matter of getting it in a final form.
What's the concept with the Albany stuff, the codification, what does that entail?
So once the local law is passed, then we send it up to Albany to be approved. Then it has to go into our town code.
Right.
And then it gets codified, which we get charged for.
So there's a cost with that, associated with that.
Yeah, so every time you codify the town code, there's a charge.
In addition to how much it costs to publish it, because we have to pay for publication before the public hearing.
Do you know any idea about ballpark with that?
For the posting,
Well, anything.
for the
total.
paper, it's probably about 200
Okay.
each time.
What about the 26th of August?
If
I mean, if you,
I may not be here
let's stick with July
That's fine.
22nd.
taking the action.
Comprehensive master plan is, it's open until that, correct, on the 22nd?
Yes.
Correct.
So you wouldn't be having another public hearing, would you? Right?
It's continued till that,
Continued.
there's going to be
Okay.
comment.
So it's
Continue
open,
on
so
that.
even if it doesn't happen on the 22nd, it'll happen in August. Right, depending, I mean, we're gonna provide feedback to the county.
You can reschedule it as well.
Yeah.
You just have to have the date in your motion, so
So-
you know what it's going to be. That's all.
Yeah, I made a motion without a date, and there wasn't anything else. Sorry from that.
Do you want to remove your motion?
No, I mean, you can modify it or whatever,
Yeah.
but you just.
So I'd like to motion that we set a public hearing for July 22nd on the local law. For the tree ordinance. For the version that's currently available.
So was Rich withdrawing his prior motion?
Yeah, which,
Second to Tony's motion.
Further discussion?
so the total cost, we're talking about $200. Basically.
It'll be-
That's just to put it in the paper.
That's not,
What's
not the cost of codification, and we have to do it twice, so you have to take everything that she says and multiply it times 2.
So what's
so what's the cost of the codification?
So what's the whole thing mean?
Probably 800, 900
Times 2.
times 2.
Absolutely.
Then it's. Yeah, then.
So if we don't do that, then John, to your point, we risk having similar situation like the logger incident.
In all
Correct.
fairness, that's one incident over the course of a year, which I think Kevin is paying much more attention to now. I just think we do it right, we do it one time, and we don't do it twice. That's just my opinion.
All right, so there's a motion, there's a second.
I guess this is our discussion.
Yeah,
I think there's been more than one incident. About issues with trees being
Yeah, it's not.
Some
a-
more
delicately
than others, but
removed, right?
And it's, it's not clear that we're gonna wrap the next phase up at any particular time. We could run into things that are controversial and mull over them and drift into the next year. Who knows? We do that.
Any other discussion?
So we vote about this.
I don't like to spend too much money, of our taxpayers' dollars. But at the same time, it's been sitting on our desk for a year. And if we remove the controversial part, it makes it a little easier to bear. It's a cleaner law. And we don't have a realistic view of how long it will take to get the other parts fixed. I think it makes sense to go ahead and have a hearing on what we have so far.
Okay. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No,
Okay, so next we have. I'm gonna skip right to James Ronan's Eagle Scout project. Just so everyone is aware, the first two items before items A and B, the secret, because we're holding a public hearing open, we're gonna hold those off until afterwards. So.
After, explain to our
I'm
friend.
sorry, after the next public hearing on the comprehensive plan, and after we have an opportunity to respond to the comment letter received from Westchester County.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, James, all
can
yours.
get credit towards his government badge for as long as he's been.
That's
sitting.
right.
Thank you for your patience, James.
Hi, I'm James Roden. I'm just gonna pass these out.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna share the screen on Zoom so folks at home
But I'll
can.
take another one. Yep, honestly, I didn't
is
use
this
my
on,
ink on
Sean?
my printer. Thank you.
It's in the, it's in our.
Is the game already started?
Yes.
Yes, just my work came on, so.
Oh, this is the same,
Yeah, it's what
it's the
it's.
same structure.
Oh, I have to share it.
You do.
I'm sharing the screen. Right, John? Okay. Oh, no signal? So,
I didn't touch it. It's connected.
yeah, that's right.
There we go. I think I fixed it.
Nope. So I'm sorry.
We're just gonna torture you a little bit longer.
It's putting into them. Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's all right.
What?
They have hard copies and they can.
It's over by our list. And against the agenda. If we get to one thing.
Okay, so
You can ask him.
just let me know when you want me to, this is a PDF, it's not a PowerPoint, but yeah, I can scroll page by page.
Okay. I think,
Is it on?
Yes.
oh, no, I think, oh, there we go. All right.
Sense it.
One.
Oh, he just changed it. I'll give it a second. There you go.
So my name's James Ronan. I'm in Troop 154, Golden's Bridge. And this is my Eagle project at William K. Love Preserve. So I'm gonna be building a bench for scenic viewing making a 16-foot bridge across a stream in place of a rotting out bridge. I'm gonna remove a fire pit and clean up the glass and debris around it. I'm gonna move an information kiosk to a more convenient location. And I'm gonna be replacing a rotting wood water break with stones from the fire pit and rerouting a trail to the new bridge location.
Somebody give to the group just a little background on this preserve. It's a lesser known preserve in town. Anybody have any like general?
Before we do that, let me, Sean, this is on this screen.
That is not, the food's still on.
It's on, yeah, so if you want to turn it off, because it's a good movie. It looks like it's a good movie. You're seeing, but yeah.
You don't hear very much behind the scenes, but that here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where is the preserve? So tell us a little bit about it.
It's near Rings End, the lumber yard, if you know where that is. It's a small little preserve. It's not really well known, I don't think. But
in Vista.
yeah, it's pretty nice. I've been there a bunch of times, but it needs a lot of work to sort of restore it, I guess.
Is it kind of a loop in the trail there? As
Yeah.
it goes?
Yeah, it loops around. There's two entrances, but it's just basically a big loop.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, so this is the bench. That bench on the after picture is not what it's gonna look like because I'm using wood and not metal. But a bench would be beneficiary because it would be in a nice viewing place for visitors. It's a nice place to sit if someone needs a break, and it's near the entrance, so it's pretty easy to access. This is the construction plan for the new bench. It's made completely from 2x4s, and it's a pretty simple design, but it's good, it's sturdy, it'll last a long time, and it's long enough to hold multiple people on. So next is the bridge. And on the after picture, if you could see, it's in a different location. The new location is a more narrow part of the stream, which would make the bridge last longer because it's a little bit shorter than the current crossing, which I wouldn't really call a bridge because as you can see, it's just like rotting wood planks there.
Yeah, see that's the two planks here.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah, and so on the after picture on the bridge, mine's not gonna look exactly like that. There's only gonna be one handrail. Yeah.
But
So
it's a similar sort of plan that we have found in other trails.
Yeah, yeah, it's sort of the standard bridge design.
No surprises.
Yeah.
Standard pre-approved
Yeah.
design, right?
So this is the construction plan for the bridge. It's made out of pressure treated lumber. So the fire pit, there's a magnified picture there, and those little green and blue shards are glass, which is from people smashing bottles at the fire pit. And it's really unsafe because someone could cut themselves on the glass. So I'd be completely removing all the glass from there, and removing the fire pit because it wasn't there originally. So the new trail in that picture, it would go straight forward and at the end to the left where the new bridge would be. The new trail wouldn't be much longer than the current trail, and it wouldn't be much more difficult than the current trail. So there's not much of a change.
And as far as the change in trail, it wouldn't bring it any closer to the houses nearby, would it?
It would be a little bit closer to the houses, but still on the property.
Okay.
So the kiosk is in a pretty secluded location on the preserve. So I'd be taking it out and moving it more towards the entrance, so when people get there, they can see it better. These are the steps that I'm gonna do to relocate the kiosk. So remove the turf and the topsoil. I'm trying to dig a 4 feet hole, so I need to find a place that I could dig 4 feet down in. Once I dug my hole, pour 4 inches of gravel, place the post of the kiosk, add another 2 inches of gravel, level the post, add a few inches of soil by shoveling it, and then tamp the soil until solid. And then repeat steps 7 and 8 until it's completely solid.
No cement.
What?
No cement then.
No cement. So this is the water break. So a water break is basically, it's on a trail. You put it on a trail, so when it rains, the water doesn't like erode the trail and mess it up. And that water break is rotting out and it doesn't really work at all. So I'm going to be taking stones from the fire pit and replacing that water break with the stones. And that's it. This project would benefit the preserve a lot. And thank you for listening to me.
Michelle, thank you for the presentation. What's the your fundraising, I'm assuming, right? Usually for these projects, you have to fundraise. How's that going?
I'm gonna make a GoFundMe and try to ask people to donate to me. I'm also accepting donations from anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So donations of materials, donations of money.
Donations of money. Most of the materials are being provided by the
Supply, like local supply.
yeah, they're mostly being provided to me.
Okay.
But I need to buy a couple of them. I have a cost list there, but I don't know if you could see in the packets, there's a cost list.
Yeah.
And there, it didn't really, I guess it didn't end up on the slideshow, but no.
So this preserve, it's a Westchester Land Trust preserve,
Yeah.
right? It's not actually a Lewisboro property. Okay. So it's not something we have to authorize in that sense. Okay.
Who owns it? Westchester Land Trust is the owner of the property?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Westchester Land Trust is the owner, the title owner of the property.
Well, looks like a great project, and very ambitious. You got a lot of different elements in there.
Yeah.
Between trail building and bridge building and the kiosk and everything. So it's gonna be a great experience.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have fun with your colleagues. Great.
So if this is not town owned, do we need to?
I think we
We
need
don't, we don't need to do any approval.
we're just,
End of,
Yeah.
we're cheerleading.
yeah, just giving it a thumbs up and.
All right.
Excellent.
Good talk.
Thank you.
Nice project, James. Thank you very much.
You're gonna be very busy.
Mike, this is gonna be another entry in the
Mike Survey.
expert guide to credible Eagle Scout projects. It's gonna be part of one of the entries.
Usually the town, part of the resolution to pass it fees any building permit fees. I don't know, maybe that would be something that you could do to ensure that there's no required building permit or building permit fee to build this. That's usually when we approve the Eagle Scouts, part of what we're asking for.
Right.
It is gonna have to have a conversation with the wetland inspector, obviously, as we are, but just to be, I guess, be clear that there be no fees due.
So we can make a motion for a conditional waiver of
Waiver of any fees associated with the in Lewisboro.
I move that we waive any potential fees for the Eagle Scout project to James Road in the hamlet of Vista and the town of Lewisboro.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, James. You're free to stay if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, but. Pretty good.
James, if you need a copy of the resolution, you can probably obtain it sometime next week from the clerk's office in case you need it for the building department.
Thank you all. Terrific.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Mike.
thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, next we have, so it looks like one of our playgrounds at Honor True requires some emergency repairs. And there is an invoice. It's a sole sourced playground. I'll let Nicole maybe step up to the mic and.
Which is a list of items, I think.
Yeah.
She's here for it, so.
Yeah. And this playground was upgraded, but this is the old section of the playground, the old equipment that was not upgraded.
Correct. So yearly playground medic comes out and inspects all of our playgrounds. Just to make sure for safety and liability. And the report came back with multiple damaged items, cracked panels. Actually, this slide that is one of the major items was not on there until I had received a call from a resident.
Do we
So-
do that for insurance purposes or just best practices or health department? We just.
I think we're required to.
Yeah.
Yes, both best practices, insurance, liability, all of that, but not health department. So the inspection report had quite a few items, and I've been at this for a year with this company and finally got a quote. So
when did we find out that we needed these repairs?
So we received, well, I had an inspection last year and tried to get some of these resolved. It wasn't as bad as it was this year. And then this inspection report came back in April
Of this year.
of this year, correct.
And the inspection report is one that you mentioned by Playground Medic?
Playground medic,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
We're just essentially replacing exactly what's there, or we upgrading or changing?
We're replacing just the items that are damaged. Because there are already new pieces there. These are pieces that were not replaced 2 years ago when the playground was.
Okay. Are there any code, no code changes, like to bring them up to speed?
The only one thing was a different slide that he quoted, because this is less expensive, but we'll still work with our playground.
This is not true, right? So
Yes.
we're not gonna have this ready in 5 days.
5 weeks.
No, but is this section cordoned off? now,
The
or-
slide is.
The slide is.
Yes, it's boarded off.
Yeah, okay.
So anyone coming to the fireworks knows that the slide will not be available.
Yes.
Right. So, there's the price includes is the equipment price, there's the freight, and then there's the installation. And
Just what brings it under the realm of emergency? We've gone about it for years. How do we get to the emergency status of the?
that's I guess I'll look to council on that.
I would imagine it's a safety concern for
Yeah,
actually utilizing the equipment. I don't know, it may be a sole source as well.
Right, so wait, we found out about it last year or we found out about it this year?
The slide was this year.
Okay.
There were minor cracks in panels. So like the tube crawl, there were cracks and we had temporarily taped them off.
Mhm.
And then there's a plastic barrier that is cracked now as well. So there were more items now than last year.
Okay, but the emergency repair has to do with the slide.
More the slide, but yes, but
Okay.
they all should be
That we just
addressed.
found out about it. Right, I'm just trying to It comes under emergency, so I'm just trying to understand where.
And it's sole source, that's the other.
Correct.
piece.
This is the only company. They're the only vendor in that services our area. I mean, I was contacting them for almost a year straight.
Yeah,
And the total cost of these repairs is a little over $25,000. Is that right?
that is
Correct.
correct.
So are there any? 'Cause I'm looking at the additional terms. Are there any warranties associated with the products themselves?
Not on these specific items.
And their work is not, there's nothing in their work that's warranted either for a certain time, their
I-
materials or anything.
For the future possibly, but not
There is a
for
limitation.
what,
Yeah, sorry.
not for
So-
these pieces that need to be replaced. They're way beyond.
Right, the
the
new stuff, I'm
warranty.
talking about with the new stuff.
Look at the additional terms, item number 3.
I am, say, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, there's no, that's what I'm
Number
saying. In
3.
other words, this work is being done as I'm looking at this real quickly. There's nothing guaranteeing.
There's
the
not.
work- They're not standing behind the work that they're gonna do if it was to not be done well. And it was an issue with it in a period of months, and there's nothing, no warranty associated with the components that they're putting in either.
The problem is, it's the sole provider.
No, but we can still go to them and ask them for. So like a warranty of the work that they do.
They should stand behind their work, I
Yeah.
think, for a minimum of a year, if any kind of, issue that comes up as far as the work being done. Because after the work is done, nobody inspects it, right? It's no.
But
They don't. We have an outside agency, the playground medic, who inspects.
Miracle also installed the new components, right?
Correct.
And didn't they have to replace something afterwards, or am I confusing that with something else? No, okay.
I just think they should stand behind the labor and materials for at least a year, I would think.
They said that they make no equipment warranties except for those standard warranties issued with the equipment itself.
Right, hence my.
Yes.
So the equipment is a third party and we don't know what those standard warranties are. I guess it's, we want to complete that thought. So that could be something to find out, I guess. As far as the quality of the work, do we have a holdback for completion in that inspection? At least in in payment terms.
We can.
Because I think, the stuff gets bolted together, basically, right?
Yep.
So I don't think there's anything, I imagine they can't like warranty things like ad infinitum when it's something that's being pounded on like that, but.
Not at infinitum, but for some period of time to make sure the stuff it's just to ensure that the stuff's been put in well.
Okay. What budget line would this be coming from?
It wouldn't. This becomes one of those items that is unbudgeted. And would have to come out of our fund balance.
You're right.
So when the medic comes in, whether the playground medic, the inventory of playgrounds in the town, is this the only, everything else is in good shape basically at this point?
Yes.
Well, the Fox Valley is brand
Brand
new.
new, and
The
Town
town
Park
park is brand new.
Since we're on it, term one here says that the buyer should be inspecting their equipment periodically. So I guess that issue of sort of like, did the bolts come loose? Somebody every once in a while should go around, just kind of shake things, check to see if something's
Well,
loosened
she
up
has
to
the
stay with it.
inspector come through.
Yeah, but that sounds like this is an ongoing thing that you would do with the playground. I'm curious, do we have a practice like that?
I mean, my parks crew goes through and
Yeah.
residents notify me if anything is
Yeah.
of an issue as well.
Can you ballpark like the life expectancy of this equipment? Should this last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, anyway?
I think that playground was there for at least 15, 20 years.
Yep.
So these are pieces that were not replaced. They've been there.
So the
for-
new stuff should last at least 10, 15 years, presumably, if it's kept maintained.
And these are these under the shade structure? Some-
They, only a few pieces.
Okay. Because that'll help prolong the life,
Yes.
whatever's under the shade structure.
Nicole, I don't know if you know the answers to this question. I just remember several years ago, there was a proposal put together and, before the new playground was built at the town park, and we were looking at the budget, not this board, but maybe it was 4 years ago, what Dana's last year. And there was a proposal put together to replace the playground at Honor True. And I think it was
$300,000.
I was gonna say over 100,000. No, was it for
It
that?
was 300,000. But then we ended up doing what we did for 100.
That's what it was. The
Yeah.
100 came in to replace some of the equipment. We didn't redo the entire playground. There was like the whole discussion about where all sorts of grant money was going and I was just wondering how much it would cost to redo that playground. If is there somewhere in our folders that tells us?
I can go back and look.
Well, we just spent 100,000.
Right.
What, 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah,
It's 25,000.
and now, talk about another 25,000, whereas
No.
originally the budget was, the request was to spend 300,000 to replace the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah, it turned out we didn't need to.
Right.
Well, we kind of put a Band-Aid on it.
Well, $100,000 there.
I mean, expensive Band-Aid, but.
Yeah.
Compared to what-
Well, it wasn't a Band-Aid, it was actually new equipment.
Right.
To replace the old equipment.
Yes,
Yeah.
some of it got replaced, some of it didn't.
And this is the part that didn't get replaced.
Correct.
So the options are, well, I guess what we have to think of is how to pay for it. I mean, it's.
It's fund balance.
Fund balance, or
Well,
do we allocate more ARPA money?
and then hopefully, the rec department is running a surplus this year and that'll all come out the wash.
How much is undesignated from our other funds?
Like 190.
60,000?
That we haven't allocated yet, or at least earmarked in some way? And do we have a list of other things that we were thinking of spending that money on?
Not really.
And
I can-
that has to be all spent by what,
Wait,
December?
it has to be
It has to be allocated.
by the end of the year.
We don't have to spend it by the end of the year.
26.
20, that's what I was trying to. include.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to allocate 25,058.37 to ARPA funds for this.
Yeah, 167, 745.
Why don't we use that together with authorizing the thing itself?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, and the expenditure, I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
council.
Yeah.
Motion to utilize $25,058.37 from ARPA funds for the
Emergency.
for the emergency repair and work within the Miracle Recreation Equipment quote.
For on a true fund.
But I think we're also.
For on a true.
Yes.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Is that-
Do we have to roll call?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Tony, I.
Andrea Arundel, aye.
Yeah, well, shy.
Thank you.
I said like that better than fund balance.
Okay.
Don't go away, Nicole.
And
I know.
Still here.
I got a few items.
So next is, we had approved purchasing AEDs early in the year. This is back in February.
And those are the
and-
emergency defibrillators.
Yes,
That are required by.
and again, yeah, and that was also an unbudgeted. I mean, we had to do it. It was a requirement, right?
Correct.
So there was another unbudgeted expense, which again gets trued up at year end. I mean, we close out 2024.
We had a bond.
Oh, we did?
Mhm.
Did we use the bond for that?
Mhm.
Okay.
And we didn't
The old-
include the amount,
The money.
$30,000.
Okay.
and we
That's
didn't
right.
include the cost of insulation in that. We only call.
Correct. So I'm requesting to use the remainder of the bond, $2,918, and then $4,782 out of my parks budget.
Oh, so there is leftover in that bond?
almost 3,000,
That's
yeah.
it.
Was
77.
anticipating my question. Where are the funds coming from? Excellent.
This is for the 7,700.
Yes.
To me.
I move.
Second.
Discussion? I have one question. So the unit prices for the installation, for example, Fox Valley, it's 1950.
Mhm.
But then for Lewisboro Town Park, there are 2 units for a total of 2,050.
So
Why is this so
I
expensive?
went to each park with Rob from D'Amico. And I showed him the placement of where I would like to have each of these AEDs. So Fox Valley, I think it's based really more on the wiring coming from the breakers and through the buildings. So at Fox Valley, it's going to be on the front side near the men's. So the breaker's all the way in the back of the garage, right? And it's going to come through the men's room out the wall. And then.
So we don't have to go into the men's room?
No, you don't have to go into the men's room. no.
Longer wiring distance is greater. cost.
Yeah, that makes
Correct.
sense.
And then
Okay.
Town
Yeah.
Park, there'll be one on the pavilion right next to the breaker, but then there is an additional one out near the baseball field, which we're going to put next to the electrical pole. And Vista Park will be right on the side of the building. There's an outlet right below, so he can wire to that. And then on a true, on the house, yes, on the
Okay.
side of the house facing the playground.
Okay.
And then on a true, we are going to install 2 wooden beams across from the pavilion so that it's kind of off the grass out of mowing areas. And will be wired to the pavilion. And then the other location will be on the grass corner across from the soccer field, wiring from the maintenance garage. So.
So who does the pedestals, trenching and concrete?
So I spoke with Joel, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, and Joel said he would assist and my guys,
Right.
yes, trench.
You got a motion and a second and discussion.
Okay, so all
Are
in
you good
favor?
with? Do we need to roll call?
Roll call, sorry. Yeah. Yeah,
Aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Tony, aye.
Andrea Rendo, aye.
Dan Welch, aye.
Okay. Next we have, this is for the bathhouse, resolution authorizing to advertise for bids, so to go out to bid for the project.
So move.
No, I move.
Let me do it.
Moved.
I move. She moves.
Second.
Discussion? So I, just to be clear, so everyone understands, so this is, we're gonna get a bid package from the architect. And this is to go out to bid for, and Nicole and I had a discussion earlier. So this initial authorization is to go out to bid for the timber framing.
Correct.
Only.
Well, that's what
Right.
subsection F says, authorizing advertisement for bids.
So it's,
Well,
the general contracting bid is not going out.
Right.
Just for timber framing.
right. Which means that the bid responses we get back is not all encompassing.
Right, so it's authorizing advertisement for timber bids.
Timber framing.
Timber
Timber
framing bids, thank you.
framing.
Right.
Pretty straightforward.
And then once we get those bids back, at that point, we will have gone out to bid for the general contractor, which would include the other stuff like the electrical, the mechanicals.
Correct. We'll have,
And then-
we would be
Another
looking
one.
for approval to go out to bid next meeting. For the general contracting.
So the general contractor would not have responsibility for the framing then?
They do not do the framing, they do the
No.
prep, the site work.
But-
And then after the timber frame company comes in and installs that, then the GC takes back.
So apparently,
Takes
if I'm wrong, the timber framing, there's a limited bunch of folks who can do this.
Correct.
So they target those companies that can respond to that type of bid
Correct.
to get the lower costs rather than go through a single
right, rather than going through the general contractor who would then sub out to
But the
the
GC
timber
will
frame.
oversee the execution of that contract, timber framing contract.
I think Darren's going to oversee
Yeah, he's
that
got, there's a
specific-
construction management
right.
piece.
Design professional.
Yeah,
So,
that's in the last line in his proposal.
What's
Phase 5.
Phase 4 is the construction bid. Paperwork.
Okay, so
We got a motion, second discussion. This is a,
Well, let's make sure that everyone's clear.
Yep.
Are there any more questions?
So the only concern I have is on the timing. So when we get these bids back for the framing, there's gonna be, you have to make a decision within a certain amount of time, but in the bid spec, we're gonna include the timing such that we have enough time to get other bids in from general contractor that's gonna.
Right,
do the work.
can we set the date of awarding the timber framing company to align with the general contracting bid?
I think so, right, Greg?
Can we?
We can set whatever date we want.
Yeah, you can. I mean, the only thing that stops you from awarding the bid is the funding. Mechanism and the funding's in place.
Right.
So you can coordinate and dovetail them if the bids come
Right.
in and you're accepting of them, you're not rejecting them.
Right.
They meet specification, they're not.
Yeah, we don't want any surprises. So to your point about the funding, we want to make sure that all the bids are in so we can tally it all up and make sure.
Make sure you have
I
it.
think everybody's rolling in the same direction, that we could start work like October.
We would like to get it done before next May.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the plan. Okay,
Um,
voting,
Now, this is, we need legal review of the bid specification, correct?
They
Legal
were
first?
sent to me by Nicole on Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
There are general conditions that have to be added. Basically technical,
Mhm.
special conditions and technical specifications, what we're given. So
Right.
I'll coordinate with the architect on providing what he's got to incorporate in there.
Mhm.
And then it's subject to that anyway. It's
Right.
not going out before it's finalized, but you can
Okay.
certainly authorize it to
Subject
go
to that,
out.
yeah.
so
We don't have to wait for another meeting.
count of council to the
council.
town. Okay,
As amended.
Okay, so all in favor?
bye.
I need a,
Roll call again?
No,
Oh, no roll call.
No money,
There's no
that's the
money.
next one.
That's, the next one is.
you'll need one when you award it.
Oh. Yeah, so the next one is approving the invoice for the bathhouse. So the next payment is phase 4, it's the second part of phase 4. We previously paid 10,250. Now this is the remainder, which is 30,750.
so moved.
And, okay,
So we have to name the bid source, the funding source, which is
it's the bond.
the bond.
The bond.
Right now.
I move that we move forward and pay the next phase of 30,750.
Second. Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Do we have to roll call that?
Yeah, that we do.
Yes,
That's right. Yeah, aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Tony, aye.
Andrea Randall, aye.
Dan Welsh, aye.
Okay, one vote for Nicole, Brownell Preserve Trees, so there's a lot of dead ash trees that we need to take care of.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the latest is,
So the latest is, Randy walked the entire Blue Trail. And counted 263 dead ash trees. So the lower Blue Trail has the sap lines, so we cannot do anything there until we get those guys in to take their sap lines down. And really is not as much of a concern as the other side. So basically coming from Falcon Ridge to the entrance of the Blue Trail intersection, there were 66 trees. The Harriet Lane to intersection of the Orange Trail, there were 38 trees. And then 44 at the AT&T right away. So those are our major concerns at the moment, totaling at 148 trees. I did receive a estimate from Jeff right before I arrived here. So at 15 days of cutting at $850 a day, we're at $12,750.
Who's Jeff?
Jeff is from Vista Tree, so
Oh.
he has the contract
The
with,
town.
yes,
12,750 for how many days?
15.
15
I made-
days. So however many trees he can do in 15 days. Is there an estimate? How many trees?
I think she's just talking about that first 148.
It was 148, right?
Yeah. So that was 12,000.
We can at 12,750. We can estimate anywhere between, 5 and 10 trees a day, depends on the height, the severity, it all depends.
So, that's just to cut them and drop them and leave? them?
Yes, and then we have a groundsman to assist.
Would we be leaving them there? Potentially? Because carting them out.
That's what I'm saying, I mean, cutting and dropping them, right?
Carting them out is a lot of,
It's a
It's
lot.
a lot, yes.
speaking as someone who
We
is
could ask our highway
all in,
superintendent.
it's.
Oh, he's here.
He's already shaking his head.
Through the woods.
There are no roads through the woods. Exactly.
Absolutely, we might need to go back in with some volunteer labor afterwards to. We make everything off the trail and make it look nice over time, but it's just,
Because it should be stacked at least. You can't just leave the,
We could.
you know, it won't-
It's a big job. It's a good job and it doesn't.
I know, but also, well, you have to be careful that you don't want leave any attractive nuisances behind, you don't, kids walking through there or whatever, you don't want them getting hurt, so you want to make sure that with all those trees coming down, that it's left in a way that is not unsafe.
None of the trees are close to, any homes, right?
So this is kind of what initiated this, with the Falcon Ridge resident, having dead trees on the preserved property. And we went in and took care of those and it just
Then you realize
unraveled.
that there's more.
Yes, yes,
You mentioned the company that's got the sap lines.
yes. I have an email. I could contact them, to have them come out and take a look and.
Take a look and
Yeah,
contribute
right.
towards it. Yeah. So these 148 are not.
And these are just the blue trail.
Yeah.
The upper side from Falcon Ridge over towards Harriet Lane.
Mhm.
Brandy has not walked the orange trail yet,
Right.
but I think the blue is more.
blue is where the
More
majority of it is,
Mhm.
Mike and I walked it. Or 2 weekends ago.
Mhm.
And it's kind of-
So, yeah, so we just don't know based upon totally ticked off how many this is gonna end up taking care of.
This is to take down the 148 trees. He's estimating 15 days to take down the
It is,
148
it is.
trees. That's how I understood,
Correct,
out of the 200 and something.
hopefully. Yes.
And that's an estimate, so it could be more, it could be less.
At the moment, the reserve is closed because it's a reserve, so.
Right.
For those who didn't hear at home, Brownell Preserve is closed out of the safety of our fellow residents. It's just not safe to use right now. Until we approve.
So what's the budget line that it comes out of? Why are you both looking?
There is no budget.
I don't think I have much left in preserves, honestly.
Okay, that's where we're typically coming.
Where it
If
would
was like
typically
3
come from.
trees, then it
Right,
would come out
right.
of that.
Yes.
Similar to the playground inventory thing going around. How we in the other preserves as far as similar significant issue.
Well, no, I would say no, but
I mean, they all have standing.
We've had some individual
And
trees that.
we take care of them as we find them, it's just,
Right.
again, with volunteer labor, you can't cut 150 trees.
Right.
Mike's back will not last that long.
Right.
Well, there's a whole team of volunteers that go out usually on Tuesdays and work on particular parts of the trail, and I've expressed my gratitude because I've worked with them a couple of times and I know how hard it is.
Yeah, we have a regular crew at Lee
Yeah.
and BV
Yeah.
every Tuesday. And that is by far the best maintained trail because of that. 3 to 5 people go out there every single.
Consistent. Yeah, Mike, you wanted to add something? If you could come up to the mic, thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. What's going on in Brownell is unprecedented. After Hurricane Sandy, when I got involved in all of this stuff, we had a lot of downed trees because of the high winds. There was some microbursts a couple of weeks ago that really were significant. The standing dead ash now is a target for all of these winds. That section that the staff did, Eric and I walked through it. It's just incredible to imagine every 3 feet, every 10 feet, there's a tree or a compilation of trees. It's a huge safety issue because there are going to be continued falls and they're going to hit each other. There's going to be collateral damage. Crown Maple has been great historically in the past when we've called them. They send out a crew. We generally don't monkey with their lines unless it's something very simple, just out of respect and the fact that if we don't have to, they have trained crews and, you know, they're operating that lease, they might as well operate the repairs. Given my experience seeing the costs of tree work in our community, that quote is really, really good. Okay, and you're going to have professionals who are going to do it. They're licensed, they're insured, they have experience. We've done some work in some of the other preserves where we haven't actually cut the dead ash. We put ropes on them and we winch them down because I don't want anybody near the base of it even prepping a cut or a guidance or a wedge or a notch, just nothing. So this is a huge issue, and we have a scout, as you may recall, who's looking to do replacement projects. Can't bring in volunteers when you have a dangerous scenario.
Right.
So again, just unprecedented devastation. Standing dead timber exacerbated it, and that microburst did it in. And so for whatever my 2 cents is worth, that's a good price. And, you know, the rest is up to you folks. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you might, for those who don't know, maybe you can explain why there's so much dead ash about those.
The wild ash, for the folks at home, there's a lot of dead ash trees because of the wild ash borer.
So the
just
emerald
decimated.
ash borer
Yeah.
is an insect that has infested our ash tree stands over the past several years. It's a beetle that lays larvae that go under the bark and they tunnel around and destroy the tissue between the extreme outside layers and the next layers, literally rendering the tree incapable of absorbing nutrients. So as that's happened, and you can see them all by the roadsides.
You can come to a certain neighborhood in Vista. I've got 5 on right?
And so ash is pretty sturdy as a wood, but now you're talking about a tree being dead for several years and they're unpredictable. You can't just say, we're going to do the standard tree notch and drop it. They could shatter, they could blow out. And so again, the extreme amount of standing dead timber is what's going to cause these kind of problems. And the ability to remove that is critical.
And they've got beaches coming.
Yeah.
Coming down.
The
Beach
beach
leaf
fires.
disease, we're already
Yeah.
looking at exclusion zones and reforestation. So that's part of the product that we're trying to deliver internally with the Open Space Committee and the various other volunteer groups, is to look at tree species, also working with the Westchester Land Trust, that are going to be more resilient. We're looking at deer exclusion zones, and we're looking at increasing the canopy, because every time some tree dies, the sunshine comes out, all the invasives proliferate. So it's a long process and it's a continued process. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
I know that rooting, the garden club did a great job the last couple of years with the rooting for Lewisboro, introducing the saplings. I look forward to doing that next year as well. Can we take money out of the ARPA funds?
No,
We could.
Greg is shaking his head no.
Do you think
I
we
would want to
should
look
do-
at that first. It's not a capital.
You think we should
services
just do it
related.
from the
Well,
surplus?
Government services, it's part of government.
I mean, it is a park, obviously, that provides service, right, for people to have access. You have a bid with this vendor for a per diem cost for the services. Where does the money come from if it was factories? What line would it come from? We awarded it, we had
The
to fund it.
reserve line, right?
That bid is not for preserves, it's for tree.
Yeah.
Oh, so would it be?
Reserve maintenance, well, for tree removal, there's some in the highway budget.
It's honestly my bid, we need that.
Yeah,
I said, whoopsie.
I mean,
Somewhere you awarded that bid and it was funded, right? And so that's where the first place you look. I don't know what's left in that line, but that's where I'd look first. Before you,
in the highway line, you're saying that the highway,
So.
When that bid was awarded,
when this bid was awarded,
through September of this year.
Yeah.
There's funding contemplated for that per diem charge for that service. So it's $900 a day or whatever it is. That should be the first place that the board looks. I don't know if there's anything left in that line, but if there is, that would be the first
Right,
source.
but that, we just, this came from highway. Right? This is,
this.
The $850 a day, which you're not gonna find anyone
no,
that's
no.
gonna touch that.
What Greg is saying is that it comes out of the budget line from the place for which we put it out to bid, right? So that would be highway, but highway has nothing to do with preserve, so you can't use
just said
money
look
from
first.
highway. Okay,
Yeah.
That's not.
I don't see that you can piggyback off of it. I piggyback off other things.
Using the service is fine. The funding is what you're trying to figure out.
Right, but we can't take it from the highway fund.
no.
No.
That's his money.
Yeah,
we
no,
could,
that's-
but then it'd get ugly.
Only 25.
I get up with a couple of trees, not hundreds.
It's general fund.
General funds.
It's gotta go. Yep,
Okay, so
it's important.
it is essential to keep our citizens safe.
It's dangerous. It has to be taken care of. There's no way around it. You can't just keep it closed forever. It's got.
No, of course not.
So
And
it is what it is. I don't like going into the general fund at all, but this is.
So I move that we allocate $12,750 to remove 15 days worth of, hopefully, cutting from Brownell Preserve as put forth by Vista Tree Service.
Second.
Discussion.
Just confirming Brownell Preserve is closed for all pedestrian access, so, right? Until further notice,
Until-
Both entrances to the preserve are currently taped off.
and will remain in that way until such time as the work is completed.
Roll call vote, right?
Please.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Tony, I.
Andrew Rendo, aye. It looks like you might have to increase this budget line in your upcoming proposal this August.
Cutting budget, yep.
Yep.
Okay,
I just say something.
is it related to this?
Yes, that
Okay, Can you come up to the mic? Can you introduce yourself?
John Winter, Highway Superintendent, that rate is only good till what we say, September 1st, Nicole?
It's a September bid.
It's only good till September, so I'm sure it's gonna go up between now and then, so you might wanna get that work done. All I want that.
Okay, thanks, John.
So Nicole, you can call them tomorrow?
Yes.
Right, so next we have.
Very busy today. Yes. Thank you.
Next, we have a resolution approving the stormwater management program plan. So we published the plan, which was a requirement by DEC. And we need to have it approved by July 3rd. That's the deadline. So this is, so what we're doing tonight is approving the stormwater management program plan.
Remind me when it was published.
Last I think it was published. We had our last meeting,
2 weeks ago.
meetings. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Pretty sure.
This is a lot of information on
Yep. And Paul Lewis is here from the Stormwater Management.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you asked.
that. No pressure lie
Or
there.
else we get in trouble by the DEC if we don't approve it by July 3rd.
No pressure.
But there's a lot of work that went into this, and I thank Paul and the committee
Well, Jan.
and Jan Anderson specifically.
An awful lot.
You want to come up to the mic so people at home can hear you, Paul? If you don't mind.
And if you don't mind introducing yourself as well. So everybody knows who's doing the hard work.
Paul Lewis, the chairman of the Stormwater Committee. And yeah, I'm just coming here to make sure that we follow through and get this, approve this. We have to do that to meet the state regulations. It has to be done by, as you said, July 3rd. And I want to thank Jan Anderson, who did a yeoman's job pulling the document together. It's the state doesn't come out with a model law for some reason. We make you invent it. So.
Yeah, this is part of the new New York State EC, the MS4 permit.
Right.
And MS4 stands for, I always forget, Municipal Separate Stormwater Sewer Systems, which are regulated by the state, and they require each municipality to have the stormwater management plan. So I'd like to motion that we approve Town of Lewisboro Stormwater Management Plan.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
When's the next one due?
Hopefully there won't be a next one.
Like, what do you mean next one? This was enough.
The next one, or I.
When they change
That would
the
be a
regulations.
mistake.
It's a new way of doing it. I'm not sure, but I think this one has to be kept up to date regularly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So annually, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that's gonna go on, it's including from highway, so John's gonna be busy providing a lot of input. into this. I have one more item that was not on the agenda, but I did email the board on. This is, we received a request, let me see, I have here it is. It came from the planning department. I'll read the email. Good morning. As you may know, the villas at Vista are now proposing 12 units in building 9A/B, where the gym and Willow/Heights up Brother Vic's was. There is a coordinated review under seeker, and the planning board has declared their intent to be lead agency on this. The town board has been sent materials to review and a sign-off sheet as to whether they agree or disagree with planning board as lead agency.
So
And I
all
have the
we're
document.
talking about is the planning board being the lead seeker.
Correct,
Lead agency for the seeker.
which is typically the case.
On the additional units that they want to build in Oak Ridge.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yes.
When was this? This was forward to us when?
When was it forwarded to? June 21st, Friday.
What's the timing as far as this? Is this on an agenda item coming up?
Yes. Yes.
Which is one?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know specifically. Either way, does the town board want to be a lead agency on a project?
No.
No.
This is
You have to
the,
Take action. Your silence acknowledges the planning board's declaration of intent to act as lead agent.
right,
You would have to affirmatively decline it.
but there is a but there's a form that I need to fill out and sign. Yeah. Which is the. To either agree or.
So do we authorize you to do that?
It's a form from Hope.
From the planning board.
It's just, it's an acknowledgement.
It's the coordinated environmental review.
No, I know, but why is this, if we don't have to do anything, why are they sending us a form saying we don't have to do anything?
It's the government.
If it never.
I actually did not know that, so if we don't.
Never
do
came back
anything-
after 30 days, then you would be deemed to have.
That's like the plan, that's like
consented.
what the planning.
So
right?
silence is gold,
Get back
isn't
to
it?
us. Yeah,
No, it's probably better to go ahead and fill out the form and hand it give it to them.
Otherwise, our kids gonna spin around.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
Just a sense of the board, or do you need an authorization from us? Clearly, we're all in favor of. We're good.
Wait, but then, so,
We're just perplexed.
no, but on May 21, the planning board is saying they're the lead agency.
They declare their intent to act, and then they have to circulate to the interested and involved agencies before they can, when they're doing a coordinated review.
So it's the same silence based upon the passage of time. We're good.
Like, how long you been here? How often do you see it?
Not often.
Right.
Yeah.
okay, so I'll go ahead and motion that we agree that the Lewisboro Planning Board serves as a lead agency.
Look, they already took it.
No, this is their intent.
There.
Do you, do I have a second
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so next we have public comment number 2 for the new business items.
Okay.
No, nothing, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I think I am.
Okay, anybody here, public comment? No? How about on Zoom?
Yes. Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
I have a quick question, and it seems like it's pretty much every meeting. Tony, if you got this planning board notice Friday, why couldn't you update the agenda and put it on? It seems that people get the agenda so they have notice of what is going to be on the agenda and discussed during the meeting. And every meeting, it's either through communications or just like now, there's a comment made, oh, and I got this, and this is this small thing. And this seems to be a smaller thing, that even if you didn't act, it's going to happen, but it's not a good look, and it doesn't really serve the constituents and the residents not to be given the notice that I think legally we are supposed to have, so we can prepare and make comments if we need to or participate properly. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. That's it.
Okay. Great. Okay, next, approval of claims. So motion to approve claims,
Second.
discussion.
Yeah, well, this was sent by you, right? Why was it sent by you?
I always send them.
It wasn't, okay, it didn't come from control.
It comes from the controller to the supervisor, the supervisor distributes to the board.
Okay.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, polling of the board. Rich,
It just. Actually, yes, Simone makes a good point as far as the agenda creep, if we could just try and, unless it's something that's a true emergency, if we can, because there's, especially when there's a lot to digest. I mean, I had some, IT issues, but if we can get everything, by the end of business Thursday, that would gives us sufficient time in order to prepare, and also I think would make the meetings go a bit shorter because we have to process it. So, emergencies will come up, but to the extent we can have everything by end of business on Thursday, that would be much appreciated. Hope to see everybody at fireworks this Saturday. Picking up my teacher. Thanks.
Harry.
I'd like to thank everyone who supported and joined in the celebrations of Juneteenth and Pride. It was wonderful success, although it was a little hot on Saturday at Pride. I think we only had 2 people who fell ill from the heat, so we sent them home. And also had the great honor of bearing witness to the 265th anniversary of St. John's Episcopal Church on Sunday afternoon. I was surprised how big the parish had become, and I learned that the parish had been going strong in many ways from the revolution to today. So thank you for inviting me.
Okay. Andrea.
I just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. I'm hoping that I'll be able to make the fireworks this weekend, but I do have a family event, so hopefully I'll be able to make it back in time. I haven't missed one in the past several years. And happy summer, everyone. And again, happy graduation to the John Jay seniors that graduated last Tuesday, and wish them the best moving forward. Also, just a reminder to everyone to please drive safe, don't speed.
Please, yeah.
There's some tragedies, Mamaroneck, Bedford. We've lost several young people over the past several weeks, so please be careful, enjoy your summer, but be careful, young people. Thank you.
Pride was great, a lot of fun, on Saturday, and, I just thought we having these unexpected items come up, and maybe it would be good if the department had, when they bring those, they also bring the funding source as part of cover balance to that, you know, because you can look at your budgets and see if there's a line item there or not, or, you know, so we're ready for that discussion. That's all.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Let's see. So yeah, Juneteenth, Pride, great events, good turnout. Had the opportunity to attend the Lewisboro Baseball Association fundraiser and get dunked several times in their dunk tanks. That was refreshing. And also Wednesday night, NYSEG is going to have an in-person event here at the townhouse from 5 to 7 p.m. So if anyone is having issues with their billing that they want to discuss with a customer service rep, they will be here. So bring your bill or bills for review and discussion. The event is here at the townhouse, Wednesday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
So we need to, you want to question the charge, that kind of thing, going back?
Yeah, so if you have any, because there have been some issues with NYSEG billing and estimated billing and delays in bills coming out or skipping a month, and so
It's also been new meters, I know, by me and other places.
yes.
That's June 26th from 5 to 7 p.m. here at the townhouse.
Right. I've had folks ask me to or question the Sustainable Westchester agreement. So just to make it clear, we are still working under the contract. It has not been terminated. So I'll leave it at that for now, but there has not been any termination of that agreement. And there was also a referral to the Board of Ethics, and somebody questioned. The feedback we got was negative in terms of any on the questions that were presented to them. There was no conflict or
You're not
any
supposed
concern.
to, you're not supposed
You
to.
just violated
You're not supposed to discuss that.
as a personnel issue.
So I checked. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not only that, but at least one of them was already publicly discussed.
This is the one that was publicly discussed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
But that's all I have for tonight, so. Okay, next announcements. Next town board meeting is on Monday, July 8th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. at the townhouse. Depending on how, so right now that's the schedule. We may not have that meeting, depends on schedules, but that is the plan right now. And now I'd like to go to motion into executive session for personnel and real estate discussion.
I have advice of counsel.
Second.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you, everyone.